Man, let's start at the beginning. Everybody sees the championships and the success that you have, but they always don't, get in how you got there. When did you first know you want to become a basketball coach?
At Murray State probably is when I really honed in on it. I'd always admired Rick Pitino when he was at UK, and so you love watching those guys coach. But I would say at Murray State, I had some injuries, and so I knew that coaching was probably going to be in my future. And when Coach Cronin offered me a grad assistant spot, I jumped on that pretty quick.
Well, was who was some of the biggest influences on your coaching career early?
Obviously Coach Cronin. I would say David Fields at Murray High School, Jim Simmons at Hopkinsville High School. Me and David really. He's one of my best friends. He actually has a unbelievable caviar business now. He's just been really successful. But we were so much alike coaching, and so we had so much fun coaching the game of basketball. And so those 2 years I spent with him, I really value that, the knowledge that he was able to give me as a young coach, and then also our friendship now.
You have, these regional championships, KOB, LIT titles. How do you compare yourself now to the coach you were at that young age?
I think every year you get better. You never can learn enough. I think that experience always helps you in games. And, obviously, my first head coach was in 2010, 11. So 15 years later, I feel like I'm a lot better basketball coach than I was then. I think you have to go through some ups and downs. Uh, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day. I said, if you stay in this coaching business long enough, you're going to have great wins where you beat the number one team in the state. We've been beaten when we're number one in the state. We've pulled off major upsets. We've been upset. And so we've lost at the buzzer. We've won at the buzzer. We've been blown out. We've blown people out. And so it's just it's a long line of things that you just have to go through when you're coaching.
What mistakes did you make early that ultimately had made you a better coach?
You know, I, I wouldn't even say, necessarily mistakes. I think you just learn, like I think you just learn in game stuff, and then you learn how to handle, you learn how to handle parents and different things that might come up better, the longer you are in coaching. And so, I think that's something that I've learned to do a lot better.
How has your coaching philosophy changed over the years, over the last 10, 15 years?
I think every stop, I was at Hopkinsville for 8 years as the head coach, too, as an assistant. This is my ninth year at Mail. Really, my eighth year at Mail. We only played like 5 games one year during the COVID stuff. So really, this is my eighth year at Mail. But uh, we had. I think you coach different teams at places that you're at, maybe a little differently. I don't know if I coach the same way I did at Hopkinsville at Mail. I don't think you really can. I think it's a different school, a different place, different environment. And so I think you have to, as a coach, I think the number one thing is you have to be yourself. I've never really tried to be somebody else. What I've tried to do is I've tried to take a little bit of something from successful coaches that I see, and that so I try to emulate people that are successful. But I really have tried to be myself, and not shy away from that. So I'm more of an emotional person. I love my players. I coach the way that I wanted to be coached, and I always try to put myself in my player's shoes and say, okay, if this was Tim Hayworth, the player, would I enjoy playing for me? And hopefully the answer is yes.
If you've coached as long as you have, imagine eventually coaching isn't about your X's and O's. You're dealing with different personalities, their families, expectation. You got adversity, everything else that comes along with, coaching young men. How much is it really coaching basketball and how much is really like managing the families, the players, all those different things?
I think it's about 50-50. I think, obviously you got to have a relate. I'm big on relationships, and if I know you're in my corner, then I'll run through a wall for you. If I don't think you're in my corner, then I'm not going to have too much to do with you. And so it's the same way in coaching. And so when guys know that you care, you love, you're going to hold them accountable. Doesn't mean they're going to walk away liking you every day. That's not, leaders aren't always well liked. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be afraid of confrontation. Like you got to be able to have confrontation if you're going to be a really good leader. And so, but at the same time, you got to pull everybody in. Like you can't, you know, I think the worst form of leadership is to walk into a room and say, I'm the head coach. Everybody already knows you're the head coach. The best form of leadership is how I can get everybody, get the most out of every single player and coach and manager, and where we're all on the same page and we're all pulling for each other. Uh, because if you have one guy doing their own thing, then it can hurt the team. It can hurt what you're about. And so I think great leadership is drawing everybody in and getting everybody to try to accomplish a single goal.
Yeah, man. I think I met you for the first time, and it was in Rock Hill last year at Adidas 3 SSB, right?
Yes. Yep.
And you were down there following your guys, and I was like, man,
Yep.
I don't really see that out of many high school coaches, to be honest. I was
Well, I
very
appreciate that.
impressed, and you were very invested, man. Like you were really into the game, and we got to chat about it, and I thought that was pretty impressive, man. That you were down there, watching your guys, and you're really involved in the recruiting process, and I love that. Like you go hard for your dudes.
Right. Well, I really appreciate that. It's a blessing. I know God's blessed me to be able to be the head coach here and my years at Hopkinsville. And the greatest pride that I take, like I want to win. I love to win. But the greatest pride I take is helping kids go to college and further and especially, now if you can see a kid get a lot of money, with the NIL and all those kind of things. And then also, have them call me 10 years from now and say, hey, coach, how's it going, and keeping that relationship. And so those are the things that I really enjoy about coaching.
That one part of your resume at Murray State under Mick Cronin, that gives you a perspective that a lot of high school coaches haven't had. How we talked about how that come together, but what was your role as a GA there at Murray State?
We did film exchange back then, which was it was hard. It's easy now because every game's on TV, but back then you had to make sure you had, so if we were playing SEMO and we had to get 12 tapes on them, and so we were we were dependent on you if you were at Wright State University or wherever, and you had played SEMO for you to send the tape. So I did a lot of the film exchange. I did some on court stuff, and then academic stuff. And so, really it taught me how to work. I used to spend the night in the office and so we were really working hard. And I honestly, I think now it's probably, you don't have to put that many hours in as you used to in college. You know what I'm saying? Just because you have 15 managers and GAs and director of ops and you have all these guys. But back then it really showed me what needed to be done as far as work ethic goes. And, and I value that. I value like Coach Cronin, how he coached me as a player and then, as a grad assistant. And so, I value those things.
What did you learn from Mick Cronin that you still use today?
Toughness, toughness. You have to be tough. Your teams have to be tougher. Like no matter, I take great pride in the fact that no matter who we have, who's on the roster, who's playing, like male basketball is always going to be sitting at the table. Like nobody's going to draw us and say, man, I'm really glad that we drew male basketball, and we got play. I was talking even, about our team today with someone. We got tough guys. Trey Helrick's as tough as anybody, any kid I've ever coached. Tears his ACL. He's got his back put on 28 pounds, and those type of dudes, Mason Calhoun, Devin Hunter, those type of guys, man, Jaden Johnsons, and they have toughness, and that's what I want to see out of our kids is that we have major toughness.
How did being inside that college program change the way you evaluate players?
I think, and I told somebody this, one of our players, I said, hey, here's the deal. You're recruiting 10 guys for one spot. So the thing is, you already know who, if you can play or not. We wouldn't even be putting you on a board if we didn't think you could play. What's going to separate you is all the little stuff. Do you untuck your jersey when you're on the floor? Do you go to the end of the bench? How's your body language when things ain't going well? That's why I always send a coach, I always tell them, I want you to see their best game and their worst game. And I talk to our players about when you're at your worst, your very worst, what's your body language like? What are you helping? What are you doing to help the team win? Are you still rebounding the ball? Are you still getting deflections? Or are you just worried about yourself? Are you worried about scoring? That'll tell you a lot about the player and about how he's able to help your university. And so, you know, that being around Cronin, being around those college guys really helped me see that it's a lot more than just putting the ball in the basket.
For a high school guy that I want to play D1 ball, what are some things that they don't or may not understand about a D1 staff that actually expects every single day from them?
Well, you got to do extra. You got to get in early in the morning. You got to stay late. And so when you don't do those things, you get left behind. And so, constantly working on your craft, watching film, how how are guys playing screens? How does your personnel guy, how does he play? What's his strengths and weaknesses? And so the guys that are really successful really take that film and they watch it and they dissect it.
Let's talk about winning, man. You don't accidentally win 8 regional ships. At some point, there has to be a formula behind that success. What are some non-negotiables of a Tim Hayworth program?
And I know this might sound silly to some people, but you got to have your shirt tucked in to start practice every day. Shows me that you're ready. That you're ready to practice. We touch every line at Mail. We don't miss lines. We don't come 2 inches, three. Everybody's held accountable, and so I think accountability with everybody in the program. Uh, when you pout, if that happens, then there has to be consequences for that. Like there can't be bad body language. If there's bad body language, if your teams are getting technicals, then you're not disciplined. Bad teams take bad shots. You got to be able to take good shots at the right part of the game. If I tell you I'm coaching against you and your team takes bad shots, well, you're not going to win. So you got to be disciplined enough. You got to be smart enough to know who the best players are on the team. I don't shy away from that. I let them know, hey, this is the alpha dog. This is the guy. This is the top 3 players that we're trying to get shots for. Everybody else has got to fit in. Now, in 2020, I had 7 Division I players. Okay, so that means 2 came off the bench, and so when that happens, everybody's got to sacrifice for the team. Everybody. I mean, my 6th man ended up at Oregon. He's at Kansas State now. You know what I'm saying? And so he has to be able to accept that role, that was the best role for him.
You know, I was talking about that today with somebody. Do you think him being able to come off the bench in high school helped him to be a better college player?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think it helps you, and that was his junior year. Then his senior year, he was the man. But I do. I think it allows you to see what the team is about. That you're not, I said this before. Howard Fleming's might be the best player I've ever coached. And I don't know if he scored 1,000 points, but I know this: a dude wins. His team wins. He's going to win the region. And you can always tell guys that are about the team. Uh, I don't remember Howard missing weightlifting. I don't remember him missing open gyms. And he had a trainer. And you know what I'm saying? And so he would train outside of what the team was doing. And so those guys I think you win with, and so you can talk about stats and do all this. I said something that made me that I know makes Trey special. You know what makes Trey special? He did not miss one summer league game, not one summer league game this year. And his parents were sitting in the crowd. And so that lets me know he is all about the team. Mason Calhoun, same way. Tommy's sitting in the crowd. These guys are winners. They want to be better. They don't miss weightlifting. They don't miss condition. They don't say, hey, coach, I'm working with my trainer. They come every day prepared to work. That's what Howard Fleming did. Tyron Moore, Caleb Glenn, all these guys, they didn't miss workouts. And I think you can learn a lot. Guys can learn a lot from those type of players.
What separates a talented team from a championship team, in your perspective?
Uh, well, it's going to come down to 1 or 2 games. Okay. And so we know you got to have some luck. But I really think the team that takes care of the basketball, that has a limited amount of turnovers, and the team that can rebound the ball and defend is the team that's going to end up with the win. And I think that that's what separates. And it's really about toughness. Toughness isn't about me going to fight you and punching you in the mouth. Toughness is when adversity hits, how we're able to handle it. You know what I'm saying? That's real toughness. It's easy when everything's going well. When something happens that you're not expecting, how do you respond to it? That's true toughness.
From your experience, what's tougher, man? Getting players to believe they can win, or keeping them hungry after they've won?
Probably keeping them hungry after they won. Because success is, it's just natural human reaction for you to be like, we won, and feel good about yourself. It's just a natural human reaction. So you have to constantly be motivating yourself. How can I get up tomorrow morning and be better than I was today? Like, what can give me the passion? Like, I love coaching. I love teaching at Mail. I love coaching. What gets me going is that I know I've got kids depending on me and waiting for me tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? In the classroom and on the court. Like, they're dependent on, and it may be just a word of encouragement. It may not even be the X's and O's. It may not be the me following a syllabus or me doing a lesson in class. It may be me just giving an encouraging word to a student.
Or even, I've been a teacher. Just even on asking them how they are, like just
Exactly.
just
Yes.
simple things
Caring
like
about
that.
somebody.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
How do you handle players who want a bigger role than what the team needs from them?
I tell them, here's what I tell them. I say, guys, if you want to get more shots, if you want to be a 3-point shooter, for instance, then you need to get up 500 threes a day. And I need to see results. I need to see this repetition every day. So if you want a bigger role, you got to work on your game. You got to get in the gym. You got to work on your game. You want the ball in your hands. Guess what you got to be? A great ball handler, great decision maker. So that takes practice. That takes getting in the gym. That takes making mistakes and learning from them. All those kind of things. Like Devin Hunter, for example. The kid has just had a phenomenal summer. Just an unbelievable summer. Well, he's under the radar, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's okay because he's about to show everybody this year how good he is.
You've won the King of the Bluegrass, the Louisville Invitational Tournament. Those two events have a lot of history, and man, they're always loaded with competition. What do those two championships mean to you?
Man, it means the world. I love the King of the Bluegrass. It's a tournament. I said 8 state tournament teams. We never won the King of the Bluegrass, and we had. It always seemed like we had an injury. We had something going on. You know what I'm saying? Maybe prevented us on some years we could have won it. Especially in 2020. We had a couple of guys out, but the bottom line is Lloyd Gardner was one of the first people to call me when I got the job male, and we have a great friendship. I love his family. I love him, and so for me to be able, and Coach Hicks is one of my dear friends, and for us to be able to go over to Fairdale and win the King of the Bluegrass, that one was special because I know how. I think it's the best tournament. I think it's the best tournament in America. I do. I don't think there's a better tournament than the King of the Bluegrass. The way the whole thing's run,
Yeah, I love going to the KOB.
yeah, it's amazing.
Lloyd's been good to me too. So, man, he runs a great place. But
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
it's preparing for something like that, a tournament like that, different, than preparing for a regular season game for you.
Well, you know what? It's not because it's a regular season tournament. And so we just want to keep getting better every game. So whether you win it or not is, we want to win it. You know what I'm saying? Just to have our jersey on that wall is special, but it's not the end all be all. I'd much rather tell you this. I'd much rather win. Of course, we had those injuries last year after the King of the Bluegrass. We can't help those kind of things. We just had to keep battling. But I'd rather win the region than win the King of the Bluegrass of the LIT. I'd rather be in the state tournament. And so, you can lose the KOB and the LIT and be straight.
Yeah,
I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? I think in 20, we lost the KOB and LIT. We won the region. We were the number one team in the state going in the state tournament. 22, let's see, I think we won the LIT. We didn't win the King of the Bluegrass. 23, we finished runner up in the LIT, didn't win the King of the Bluegrass, but we won the region. So, and then last year, of course, we were number one in the state and, won the KOB, but I'd much rather been healthy and not win the KOB than to be unhealthy and win the KOB.
Well, what about other tournament basketball, like the region, like a region or whatever? When you have, how does your scouting and adjustments? How do they change, like in those environments when you have back to back games, like boom, days right day after?
Yeah, it's and so you got to keep guys fresh mentally and physically. But the biggest thing is how you prepare through the whole season for those games. Making practice hard, keeping guys fresh mentally. I've always take great pride in March that our guys are fresh and that our guys are ready to play. And so I think we do a pretty good job of getting them there. And if you can get to the final four of the region, then you got a great chance to win it.
You
It's just
know,
two games. That first game's the toughest, especially in this region because you got to go on the road. So if you don't win your district, and so winning the district is important, is huge. And then if you don't win it, you got to win on the road, and you're going to be in a tough game, and you got to try to figure out how to win a close game.
I was talking to a parent today, or yeah, I think it was a parent, maybe it was a coach. We were talking about the Sweet 16, and you're in a tough region, right?
Yeah,
So if you don't get out of that region, you don't get to go to Sweet 16. But we were talking about, there could be two or three teams in your region in one year that should be there, but let's say a weaker region, whoever comes out of that region's there. Do you still like how the Sweet 16 is put together in Kentucky?
yeah, I do. I love it. I don't want to see them change it. Hey, you know what? The seventh region's the toughest. It's big boy basketball. You know what I mean? And so you have to win your region to get to the state tournament. And so I would not want to see it change personally. Uh, yeah, it stinks that sometimes there is three or four teams that can go to the state. That should probably be in the state tournament, but we happen to all be in the same region. I'm cool with that. That's the reason I came to the seventh region. Uh, you know, we had won five in the second region. I wanted to see if we could come up here and win some in the seventh region. We've been able to do that. Guess what? I want to win some more. And I love the region. I think we have the best region in the state. And I do not want to change that. I'm ready. I love the season and what it entails. And then you try to go and play the tournament.
What about the shot clock coming? What's your thoughts on the shot clock and high school basketball in Kentucky?
I love the shot clock. I love the shot clock. I think, you know, you run good offense and stuff and try to get a good shot up. Most teams are going to be able to get a good shot up in 30s within 30 seconds, 35 seconds, 30 seconds. And so I'm a fan of it. I think it helps prepare guys for college that do want to go play college. I think it speeds it, it gets more possessions. It creates where you don't have, a team can't hold the ball, and so I like it. I think it's going to help the game. It's not going to make scores go up. I don't think that
No.
there's I don't think it's going to make point per games go up, but what I do think it's going to make the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game a lot better.
I definitely agree on all those points. So many people are like, "Oh, the scores are going to go up." That's not
No,
necessarily true. I mean, just
no,
because you have to take a shot doesn't mean it's going to be a
yes,
good one, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk a little bit about our audience, the Pure Prospects audience. We have a lot of players and parents who are trying to navigate the recruiting world, and I know, like you're in the recruiting world, you're connected to coaches, and you have that experience on both sides. You coach the high school guys, and you've been inside that D1 program. Like when you're evaluating a high school guy, what catches your attention first?
The first thing I want to see if they're a good teammate. Because if you have guys that are about themselves at any level, whether it's high school, college, so when I go to middle school, so we can recruit TMS and Barrett. So those are my two middle schools. So I go and watch guys, and I've got a bunch of freshmen out there right now. I go and watch guys, and I want to see, are they good teammates? Are they passing the ball to each other? Are they setting screens for each other? And that's the main thing for me. And then, of course, you got to have a good, number one for me is ball handling because if you can get from point A to point B, you got a chance to be special. And then shooting, of course, is number two. So I can teach the defense. You got to be a good offensive player, to be elite.
What's something players they think that matters that really doesn't matter as much as they think it does?
Points, how many points you score.
Most
I'm going
definitely,
to
yeah.
argue. I'm going to like Trey Helrick led us in rebounds, blocks, and assists last year. When he wasn't on the floor, we weren't elite. Period. End of story. Now we could be good, but we weren't elite because of all the stuff that he does. You know what I'm saying? Now, if we had a whole season to prepare for all that, you know what I'm saying, all the practice, then we could have been elite maybe. You know what I'm saying? Would have found somebody, but what Trey does is elite. What Jaden does is elite. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as scoring. So you've got all these guys. And so, if you tell me right now we're not going to have Trey Helrick and Jaden Johnson, well, we're not top five, top 10 in the state. With them, we are top five, top 10 in the state. You know what I'm saying? But if you say we're not going to have them, then yeah, we're not going to be because he does stuff like Trey can do stuff that impacts the game without scoring the basketball. That's a elite
Yeah.
level player now. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. He's
Howard
versatile.
Fleming, yeah, Howard Fleming, elite level player, starting point guard at UNLV. He can impact a game. He did it in high school. He did it. He can influence a game without scoring. Jake Evans, who played for me, I don't know how
Hmm.
many Jake averaged 8 points, maybe 8 points a game. Dom winner, Elijah Priest winner. Those guys did stuff without scoring the basketball that helped you win championships.
What's something that coaches value that players don't emphasize enough?
Uh, rebounding, rebounding, especially when you're a big. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yeah.
you're 6'11", you better go get 12, 13, 14 rebounds in a high school game. You're
You
six
should.
eight, you're 6'8", you better get, if Trey's getting 13 rebounds, what Jaden Johnson, who's 6'5", 240, he should grab him about 8 or 9. AJ should grab him 7 or 8. You know what I mean? And so we should dominate at 6'11", 6'8", 6'5". We should be dominant on that glass from day one. And that's all
There
about
shouldn't
heart determination.
there shouldn't be very many second chance opportunities for your opponents this year,
No,
right?
no. And then so you're saying you're a really good. We're going to be a really good defensive team, and we rebound the ball. But that's a formula for winning, you know. And then of
I mean,
course you make shots and all that. With Mason and Isaiah and Trenton and these guys, we've got guys that can make shots. And so now, if you tell me we're an elite level rebounding and defensive team, then we got a chance to be really, really good.
back to recruiting. Within the first few plays of watching a guy, can you understand that a kid understands basketball? Like, can you figure out their IQ in a few plays?
Yeah, I can actually, and some people say, well, you can't, but I can. I can watch where they're positioning themselves defensively. I can see offensively if they understand where guys, especially off of a pick and roll, are they watching how the defender is playing it? Are they hard hedging? Are they icing it? Are they going underneath? Are they trapping it? And you can just tell. You can tell how a guy is playing off of that.
What separates a good high school scorer from someone who can actually score in college?
If you're the number one player on a scouting report or number two, and you're still able to go get 20 at the high school level, 20, 25, then you're an elite level scorer. Now, I'll say this at the next level, the length is so predominant, like the Division One level. You know, some guys are system guys. So
Hmm.
like if I'm playing with Trey and Jaden, they're both very good in the zoom actions. So if
Hmm.
I'm a guard, I want to play with Jaden and Trey because they're going to
Hmm.
help me score a lot of points. So some guys could be a system guy and do really good in college, and then some guys might just be great one-on-one players. And so as a coach, I have to try to figure that out, or to give them some freedom within the offense. But then if you see it where you're like, oh, that kid right there, like he can score, but he has trouble scoring and gets a length. So we're gonna have to get Trey involved in helping him get some shots, or we're going to get Jaden involved in helping him get some shots. And so that just comes from watching film and then watching your players throughout the year.
That's one message I keep telling the people. Recruiting isn't about dropping 20 points a game, man. It's about the fit, what the program needs.
Exactly.
How important is
Exactly.
fit?
Oh, it's huge. High school and college. Uh, you have to go to a place where they have your skill set emphasized and you can be successful. If you don't, Every situation ain't great. You can say whoever in the state, if you, oh, we would win a state title if this kid right here was on our team. Not necessarily. Nope. Not necessarily. He might not fit your system at all. He might not fit with the guys around you. He might not. You know what I mean? And so you have to figure out what his skill set is into the team. You know what I'm saying? So like when we got freshmen coming in, we got to fit, and then sophomores become juniors, juniors become seniors, and then you try to see what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then you try to implicate that into your offense. And so a lot of times, if you get in a bad system, I'm telling you right now, it's over. John Morant, the best thing John Morant did was he went to Murray State. Now, I love Murray State. I'm a Murray State guy. But what if he'd have went to Kentucky or Louisville or Kansas? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they would have said, oh, man, I don't think he shoots it well enough. And he's playing about 20 minutes a game, and they
Mm-hmm.
start questioning things. I don't think he's really good at this. But instead, he goes to Murray. He has the ball in his hands 40 minutes a game. He's doing his thing. He's the second pick of the draft. Well, he chose wisely on his college. you know,
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yeah, I couldn't imagine if he went to like a Power Five and
right.
didn't get the ball in his hands that much. Like,
Yeah,
who knows what his journey
right,
would have been? He maybe would
right,
have made it through the G League or something.
right.
So, what does college ready actually mean to you?
Strength. You got to be strong at the next level, and you got to be able to get from point A to point B. So you got to be a terrific ball handler if you're a guard. If you're a big, you got to be able to impact the game with block shots and rebounding 1 and 2. I said I coached Jamarion Sharp at Hoptown, and he just signed with the Clippers. He's 7'5". But you know what I told him this summer? And I said, hey, rim run every time on your pick and rolls. All right, set a good screen and roll to the rim and block shots, but run that floor and rebound. You have to rebound. You got an offense and defensive rebound. You can't accept to be blocked out. And I thought he did a phenomenal job of that during summer league. And next thing you know, he got a contract with the Clippers, and I'm so proud of him.
Did you go out for the? You went out for the summer league again this year to see
You
him,
know, I
right?
did. I didn't this year because we had TBT, so I was planning on going out, and then I did the TBT, and so I wasn't able to go, but I watched all the games.
That's exactly what I was going into, man. You just had the opportunity to coach with the Ville and the TBT. That's a completely different environment. Completely different environment. Uh, around the college standout guys. Now you're at the pro guys, the former pros. Like, how did you get involved with the Ville?
So Mike Balfour, who was my assistant at Male, he's the head coach at North Hardin. He asked me, and so did Russ Smith, and I just love Mike Balfour. He's one of the best coaches in the state. Uh, the thing about Mike is he was not only great, he's not only great as a head coach, but he was a great assistant coach. He was willing to do all the dirty work, all the stuff that nobody saw. He wasn't about himself. He was about the kids. He'd get guys in the gym. He wouldn't tell me about it. He would travel, take a kid home. He wouldn't say anything about it. Just one of the most genuine hard workers. Him and Troy's at North Hardin as well. Love both of those guys. And I mean, those are two not only great coaches, those are two friends that you'll want for the rest of your life. I value my friendship with them. When Mike asked me to help him, I was honored to help.
What was that experience? How what was that like for you?
It was awesome. We got Stephen Rummage on the staff now, and so we were able to. He helped out as well, and I just love Rummage. He's been way better than I could ever have imagined. Just a terrific coach, genuine person. But being able to experience that with him on the staff and know that he's going to be coaching with me this year at Male, that was special. And then just having all the guys. I think so much of Russ Smith. I've known him since I've been up here, and he's just a great human being. And then, just all the people that Dean, all those guys that put that thing together, it was just a great experience.
What's different about coaching pros compared to high school guys?
They know everything. Pistol action, boomerang cuts, ice and pick and rolls. They just know all the lingo, all the language. where you have to really teach it to high school guys. They know what a wide pin down is, a flare screen, and so I've just been around college game and the high school game, and so I know the vocabulary, and the vocabulary is huge, but they know it, so they know what you're talking about. When you're setting a hammer screen on the backside, you don't have to go over it 100 times. They already know it.
What did you learn about being around those guys?
Man, you know what? It was just awesome being around that many great players, and just learn that you have to manage egos. You know what I mean? And so, which was a great thing. But just how I thought Mike just did a phenomenal job of just giving. You got to give guys input. You know what I'm saying? And I thought he just did a great job of taking some input from guys and kind of listening to them, and then also saying, "Hey, here's my idea. Here's what we're doing." You know,
How special was it, representing Louisville and in an event like the TBT?
oh, it was awesome. It was great. That moment at Freedom Hall. That moment at Freedom Hall was just phenomenal. And I'll never forget that. And even coming back, we had one guy was really sick. And then we had another one out, and so we didn't have our full squad, but we still battled that last game, versus Kentucky, and so it was just memorable all the way through.
The TBT has that, was it the Elam ending, I think, which creates
Yeah,
there were wild late games, like
yeah.
scenario situations. As a coach, how much does that change your strategy compared to a traditional game?
I mean, it would if it was like a 2 point game, 1 point. We never really got to that point, uh, but really it doesn't because you're really playing possession basketball. You want to get
Hmm.
a stop and a score, stop and a score, stop and a score. And so you're just trying to run offense and get good shots on every trip. I talk to our guys at Mail. I tell them not to worry about mates and misses. We just want to take a good shot every trip. If it's a good shot, it's a shot you practice and it's a shot that you can make. Good deal. I can live with the results. You know, uh, I think Stephen Curry went 0 for 14 from three one night. So if he goes 0 for 14, the rest of us are.
Yeah, Steph Curry's first game, man, at uh, Davidson, it was horrific. Like
Yeah.
I think his first
Yep.
two games, and then he finally hit one
Yeah.
three and just started clicking.
Yeah.
But you've been around Kentucky high school basketball for a long time, man. I want your perspective on where the game is now. How has Kentucky basketball, high school basketball, changed during your career?
I think it's at a really high level. Uh, I think maybe 25 years ago, maybe if you were an elite level player, you would need to leave. I don't think that's the case anymore. And the kids choose to do it. Obviously, we had, and I love Jordan. Wish him nothing but the best. And I don't think kids have to leave to even get recognized now. I think there's great examples. Reed Shepard, uh, uh, Malachi Moreno, Travis Perry. There's a lot of examples where I think you don't have to leave to get recognized or to improve your game. See, basketball is a skill sport
Hmm.
because so you got to work on your game by yourself, and it's not about really. It's not even really about who you play necessarily. Even though we have a great schedule, we have the great schedule to try to put our kids at Mail in front of college coaches. That's why I do
Hmm.
that. It, if we went and played, Bronny James has been playing pro since he was 8 years old. You know what I'm saying? Why isn't he a better NBA player? It's because he's got a ceiling. You know what I'm saying? He's got a ceiling,
Hmm.
and then you just got to work on your game. And so if you tell me I go against Michael Jordan every day, it doesn't mean I'm going to be a better basketball player. If you told me I was going to be in the gym 10 hours a day and you were going to be in the gym 3 hours a day and you got way more talent than me, who's going to end up probably making it to the NBA? The guy's got
Yeah,
more talent.
we
You know
have
what I
more
mean?
talent.
So I think there's just certain things, and I think back before in Kentucky basketball, like if you were elite level, I think you would have needed to go to Oak Hill Academy, a prep school. I think it's changed because of social media. I think we're in
Hmm.
the greatest state. Us and Indiana is the two greatest states for basketball. I think you're in the greatest state. I think that it's a great honor to win a state championship in Kentucky high school basketball. And I think it's a great honor to even get to the state tournament, to even play at Rupp Arena. And you have a chance when you're in Kentucky, you have a chance to like leave a legacy. You know what I mean? And so
Hmm.
I think it's an honor for kids to be able to play and coach in Kentucky. I don't take it lightly. Like, and so I think that's where the game's changed the most is the fact that you don't have to do all those things to even get rid. Now, if it's a personal decision, it's a decision that you and your family makes. We absolutely support that. If a kid told me tomorrow, if you had a son with me and you said, "Hey, I think the best opportunities for him to go to a prep school," I'll support you 100%. You're still my dude. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Now I can disagree with it, but I totally understand also the other side of it.
I've been covering basketball in Kentucky for 15 years, 16 years now. I want your perspective. Are today's players more skilled than they were 10, 15 years ago?
You know, I don't think so. I think the player, I will say this. I think high school basketball has pretty much stayed the same as far as competition, even college for the most part. I think the biggest difference is the NBA. I think they've kind of so they wanted a global game or Europeans, and so they created the rules to be more of Euro basketball. And so they've taken out the physicality in the NBA with the hand checking and different things. And so I actually don't think you have to be as athletic as you used to be. I think you had to be more athletic to get by. If I told you common sense, if I told you they allow me to put two hands on you, do you have to be more athletic if can put two hands on you, or if I don't have to put any hands on you? If I have to play with my hands out here, you don't have to be as athletic. You got to be a good ball handler and a good shooter. And so I think it's created where guys don't have to be as athletic, and I think where you just have a skill set. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see, I think Al Horford, his first 8 or 9 years in the NBA, didn't attempt a three. And I think he's now shot more threes than Larry Bird,
Really?
and that's,
That's an
and
interesting stat.
yeah, and that's because of the rule changes. You know what I mean? And so they adapted. And so I hear people say, well, this era is not as good. I personally, the 80s and 90s was probably the toughest era as far as like me just watching. I didn't get to watch the 60s and 70s. My dad did. I didn't get to watch that era, but I would say that was a lot tougher in the 90s. That's why you didn't see. That's why you don't see guys playing 20 years. You couldn't physically play 20 years. But I think the guys that play now could have definitely played in the 90s and vice versa, because I think greatness is whatever area you're in, I think you're great. You know what I mean? And so the players can't help the rule changes. You know what I'm saying? So we adapt even in high school. I was telling somebody the other day, I knew it was getting a little bit, I'm all about toughness. We used to have these bricks that I would wrap tape around. Okay.
Hmm.
And so we'd put your name on it. Then we'd get in a stance and hold the bricks out. Okay.
Hmm.
When they came to me about 2000, maybe 17, said, we can't do that anymore. That it could be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So
Just
it changed.
hiring your arms out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They said it could be dangerous. I don't know if a brick could fall inside. I don't know. And so they changed it. And so I stopped doing it. I don't do it anymore. And so that's where things have changed a little bit. We didn't have concussion protocol. We didn't do any of that. You know what I mean? We didn't have we just didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and so that's where things have changed. I don't think the players. I think the players are still amazing. You know,
What do you think AAU has, or AAU basketball? Do you think it? What do you think it adds to player development?
man. I think what AAU basketball does, it gets you a chance to be in front of a lot of coaches at one time. And so I think really good AAU coaches. I think the top of the line coaches, I think they're phenomenal. I think it helps you. I think it just gives you another opportunity, uh, another opportunity to keep working on your game and see high level opponents and work on your skill set and those kind of things. But more importantly, even more than that, is putting you in front of a bunch of coaches. You know, that's the main thing. Because coaches have got to be able to see you.
I know some coaches are kind of, I don't want to say fully against AAU basketball, but some of them think that it maybe could hurt a player's development. You know any of errors that it may could hurt a player's
Well,
development?
I think where it does hurt kids is the competition. See, when we played, it took like you would pick your four other guys. So I'd pick my four guys, and I would have next. And if you got beat, you'd have to sit
Mm-hmm.
maybe 4 or 5 games. So every game was competitive, and who you picked was important. Where now in you play 3 or 4 games, you get beat. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like we just got beat. So I think it hurts kids. I think it hurts basketball that the competition level, that the games don't mean anything. Have you ever seen me coach a summer league game?
No.
Okay, I need you to come out next summer and watch me coach a summer league game. I coach a summer league game just like I do a state tournament game. There's no difference to me. You know what I'm saying? There isn't. To me, it's competition. There's a scoreboard. Let's play. You know what I'm saying? That needs to
Yeah.
be everybody's mindset with players and coaches. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, it's just summer league. No, it's not just summer league to me. It's not. You know what I'm saying? It's just not a scrimmage. We'll scrimmage this year. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just a scrimmage. Now, you can get your butt beat in a scrimmage and learn a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We got beaten a scrimmage at Hoptown by 25. We played the same team during the regular season, won by 30. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah, that's
So,
wild.
you know, we got beat and I remember it. It was we got beat 104-65 by Christian County in 2017. You can look it up.
Ooh. Whoa.
Worst, one of the worst games. 2 weeks later, we beat them by one in the district final at the buzzer. A week after that, we beat them by 17 in the regional finals to go to the state. So sometimes it can change just like that. You know,
How do you overcome a loss like that and come back with 2 wins?
I threw I threw away the game film. I told them we're never going to watch it. That's not who we are. And I said that was a bad game. We pouted. We felt sorry for ourselves. We got our butts kicked. And I said, how we respond to it's going to tell me everything I need to know about this team. And we responded. Ended up going to the state tournament. You know, and so that's why I said it doesn't matter. Rankings don't matter. Uh, Regular season games that you get beat. Everything's going to come down to the district and the region.
Mm-hmm.
Even the district don't matter to a certain extent, because the top two teams go.
Yeah,
So
they
you
get to
can still
go.
win. You can still. My first year at Hoptown, we got beat by UHA in the first round of the district. The next, so we get beat by. I mean, we got beat by UHA in the first round of the district. The next night, UHA beat Christian County in double overtime. They beat us in double overtime. Christian County loses the district. They go on to win the region and the state title. Then the next year, we won the region. We won the district region and went to the state. So you just never, you never know in sports.
Uh, don't. I mean, correct me if you want. I think Lawrence County in 24 or 25 lost the first game of the district and then come out and won the region, went to Sweet 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
so
win
it's
some, yeah.
it can happen.
Yes. Yep.
What for you? What makes Louisville basketball unique? Like you guys have what sixth, seventh region? Like you guys have the population. What makes it so unique compared to the rest of the state?
The thing about the sixth and seventh region is that the bottom teams can beat your butt on a given night. They can. They got enough talent that they can beat your butt. You have to be ready every single night. And even in Region 2, we would only play Henderson, Christian County, UHA, Madisonville. We'd play Caldwell some, Webster, you know, but we're not playing the teams that we're going to beat 40 because 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 ain't beating us. They're not beating us. Here, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 could beat you on a given night. Absolutely. They can be 4 and 20. And if you ain't ready to go, you're in for a dogfight.
Well, how does that change your approach with your guys? Or you don't have to change it there.
Nope, don't have to change it. You be ready every time we take the floor, practice and games. You're ready every day. There is no my bads. There is no I wasn't ready. Like you're ready. Doesn't mean you're going to play well. Doesn't mean you're always going to win, but you're ready. I would hope that if you came and watched our teams play, I would should say, man, you know what? Disciplined and tough. They're disciplined and tough. Doesn't mean they're going to be better. They may win. They may lose. You know what I'm saying? It's part of sports. But you ain't always going to win. Even the best team don't always win all the time. That's why there's upsets. That's what makes college basketball so special.
What does Kentucky high school basketball still do well?
Oh, the fans, the state tournament, you know, just, Friday night in the gym, Male versus Ballard, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't going to get any better than that. You know what I mean? And so there's still Kentucky high school fans. There's nobody like Kentucky high school basketball, in my opinion.
I definitely agree. Before we get rapid fire, man, I want you to talk about your guys coming in this year, man. I know you have a new guy, but you have Trey Hillard's coming back. I think everybody knows about him, but if you want to talk about some of your guys, man, let
Yeah.
it go.
Trey, I think he's the best prospect in the state. I do. I think he's 6'11". You can't teach size and a skill set like he has. You can't teach it. Best passing big I've ever had. When he went down last year, it was a big, big blow to our team. And so it's just, I don't think people even understand how hard he was at 197. I think he's at 226 now with
Wow.
his weight, and he went down 1.4% on body fat. And so he's throwing down dunks, posting, just doing all sorts of stuff on the basketball court. Jaden Johnson, big 6'5" freshman that we had last year, he's going to be a sophomore, just a phenomenal basketball player. He's doing things that I've never seen him do right now. Coach Rummage today, we were just talking before we went on, and he said, "Man, I've never seen Jaden do that. I mean, he's throwing it down two hand. He's lost about 15 pounds, which has helped him become more agile." Uh, we got Mason Calhoun, who started for us as an eighth grader. Just unbelievable basketball player. I was texting one of the Auburn assistant coaches last year. They come down to Nashville, and he said, Mason Calhoun. He said, "You weren't kidding about him, Coach. Sheesh." And and so, but he's got such a great demeanor to him, a work ethic. He knows how to control a basketball game. At that age, I've never really had anybody quite do it at that age like Mason did. A lot of people don't know this. As a seventh grader, he scored in the King of the Bluegrass. He was actually 12 years old when he scored in the King of the Bluegrass. He didn't turn 13 till 2 days later. So
That's wow. 12 years
yeah,
old.
yeah. So Mason just a phenomenal. He's going to be a Division I player. You know, he's just got to keep working, throwing it down two hand at that size. He's 6 foot tall. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, he's just phenomenal. I mean, built. He's hard to keep out of the lane. Isaiah Mentor, incoming freshman, 6'2" with a 6'8" wingspan. Unbelievable player. I mean, he went to the Adidas. He went to the Adidas All American
Euro camp or All
camp.
American or Euro
Yeah,
camp.
All American camp and
Oh,
got
okay.
most outstanding player. And just he's a great scorer. He can shoot it. He's worked on his ball handling where he's getting by people now, getting in the lane. His wingspan allows him to defend really well. Uh, Devin Hunter played point guard for us last year. Had one of the best summers of anybody I coached. I mean, he's going to have a great senior season. Just unbelievable focus. And I've seen Devin just take steps, and now it's like, oh my goodness. Cameron, he's going to be a phenomenal. He's a leader. We only got two seniors. He's a great leader for us. He hurt himself last year with his knee. He was out for the year. He's
Ooh.
back. AJ, kid that we got coming in, he's a transfer, 6'8". I mean, AJ's a super talented kid. Can knock down threes, can go inside, can score. Uh, you know, uh, right or left shoulder. Just a phenomenal rim protector. Trenton Crook, who played minutes for us last year, especially in the bit. It just he's our heart and soul. Just a tremendous defender. Can knock down threes. Can get to the rim. I'm really looking forward to what he has. Then we got some freshmen. Johnny, who has just really impressed me with his toughness and shot making. I look to him to step up. JJ. We got another kid, Kyrie. I played with his uncle at Murray State, Adam Childs. He's 6'5". He's probably going to end up being 6'10", 6'11". I mean, he's going to be huge and super talented. And I know I'm missing some guys, but man, we've got a tremendous team coming back. And I just really like what we have. We'll be a top 5, top 10 team in the state. And then we just got to keep getting better as the year goes on. And anytime you're 6'11", 6'8", 6'5", that's a good start.
especially in Kentucky. How deep you
Yeah.
think you guys are going to be this year?
We'll go about 9 or 10 deep, and then everybody knows as the year goes on, we're going to get down to 7 or 8. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's what teams do. By the time, so start out we're 10 deep. And so we'll run them in and out, and then we'll give everybody their best shot, and then see what's happening in the district and region.
Let's finish with some quick ones, Coach. Best quality a point guard can have.
Leadership,
Most underrated basketball skill.
ball handling,
You want a practice player or a gamer? That should be simple.
gamer.
This might be a tough one, dude. Best player you've ever coached.
Oh gosh, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Can I pick three?
Yeah,
Howard
go for it.
Fleming. Howard Fleming could just do everything on a basketball court. Jaqualis Matlock, the best winner. Going to find a way. He played at Eastern Illinois. He's Jamarion's brother. Just
Mm-hmm.
an unbelievable winner. Give me Jaqualis and I'll win. Okay, he'll just refuse to lose. And then Caleb Glenn, just so dominant, And then Tyron Moore is the best scorer I've ever coached. He just can score at an elite level.
Best shooter you've ever coached.
Tyron Moore. Yep, he scored. He set a Sun Belt Conference tournament record for points. He just can score in so many a variety of ways.
Um, Toughest gym you've coached in.
Ooh, toughest gym I've coached in. Uh, Gosh, I would have to say, uh, probably Christian County High School. Yep,
That's a new one. Why,
yep.
why was that one tough?
Well, we had the rivalry, and I hope that they would say Hopkins. Our gym seat 5,000 at Hopkinsville. Christian County, it's packed. It's packed. There's no, and then it's just a war between Hoptown and Christian County. Just an
Man, I
absolute
wish
war.
we
And then yeah, they actually combined schools, so now it won't be a rivalry.
I wish we would have talked about the difference in like basketball in Western Kentucky and then in Louisville, like what the difference was. Man, I should have talked about that.
We'll get to that
One,
the next time.
yeah, one coach you learned the most from.
Uh, Obviously, Coach Cronin early just instilled in me everything I needed to be as a coach. I'm gonna say David Fields, man. Like that's my dude. We thought about the game and coached it together, and then we bounced ideas off of people. He was. I had so much fun with that dude.
One thing every high school player should improve before college.
Uh, Shooting. Yep. Got to become, especially in today's game, you have to become a great shooter.
One
Yep.
thing that instantly makes you trust a player.
How does he? If I see this in the locker room and he picks up trash, and then how he treats people at school, like I'm watching how he treats a janitor. All those kind of things matter to me and tell me everything I need to know about the kid.
One thing that instantly makes you question a player.
When they complain about shots or about not getting the ball, having a like if a guy misses them, they're wide open and they do the body, and that's
The
like
head
okay,
down.
yeah, are they about the team or are they about themselves because their teammate missed them?
If you could give a freshman one piece of basketball advice, what would that be?
Work on your game daily. Work on it daily. You don't have to spend 6 hours in the gym, but work at least an hour, 2 hours a day on your game outside of practice every day. If you do that, you got a chance to be special.
Coach, you've won championships, man. You've accomplished almost everything. Eventually, your legacy gets become bigger. It's bigger than a trophy. When your coaching career is eventually finished, what do you hope your former players say about Tim Hayworth, the coach, and Tim Hayworth, the person?
Man, I hope they say, man, he had an energy level for me every day and that he pushed me to be the absolute best I could be. And that now, after I'm done gone, I love that dude. He loves me. and that we have a great that he was a great human being more than he was a great coach. Winning games. I like both, but I hope they say, man, I'll ride with that dude.
And before we let you go, you've been in the game for a while coaching. What still motivates you every day?
Man, I love it, dude. I love teaching. I love coaching. Just seeing getting kids better. I love the process at Mail that we take what we got and then we just try to improve them. And they have to be coachable and want to be improved. It's on them. It's not about us making them something. God already made them who they are, but then it's just us helping them in that process.
Coach Hayworth, man, I really appreciate you joining us tonight. 8 region titles, KOB, LIT champion. Your former Murray State GA under Mick Cronin. You're with the Build and the TBT, assistant coach. But more importantly, you've been a guy that's developed players and you built winning programs.
Yeah,
So, man,
appreciate.
thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you,
Uh,
Cody.
you know, e- for everybody watching, make sure you subscribe to Pure Prospects here on Substack. We're going to continue bringing coaches like Coach Hayward, some college coaches, players, scouts, media, to give you guys some real information about development, recruiting, and what it takes to reach the next level. If you believe what we're building, become a paid subscriber here and support Pure Prospects. I'm Cody Thomas. That's Coach Hayward. This is the Pure Prospects podcast. We'll see you next time. Man, thanks so much for coming
Thanks,
on, Coach.
Cody. Man, really enjoyed that, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, me too, man. We'll have to do it again
Man,
soon.
yeah, shoot, yeah. Have me on anytime. Would
All
love
right,
to.
man. Have a good night.
All right, you too, Cody.
See ya.